Good evening. Please join me in welcoming this evening's Connections Reception sponsor, James Kierstead, President and CEO of Levin.
Good evening, everyone. Wonderful to see you all here. For those of you who have heard of Levin before, we've been here for quite a number of years. It's fantastic to be back here at the TecHome Summit, finally. Being out of Canada, we haven't been able to travel here too much. Now, normally, my business partner, Marv, is the one that gets up and speaks to everyone. I'm not that great at it, so please indulge me for a few moments. I won't take much of your time, and we'll move on. Smart homes are an inevitable trend that is of emerging technologies like IoT, mobile devices, cloud integration, as well as the several changing demographics which are driving new home buyers with new demands. Our goal at Levin is to help home builders like yourselves prepare for this rapidly changing environment. One of the ways to do this is to get you paid at construction to not just deliver some homes, but all homes as smart homes. And we can make this promise with proof. But before we get to that, let's look at the simple and innovative technology that enables us to make this promise. This is Levin's two-component switching technology. The switch is separated into its two components: the wall switch, which mounts on the wall and you interact with every day, and a power controller that goes in the junction box. We use RF, radio frequency, to communicate to each other, just like your key fob in your car, but in a secure environment in a much longer range. We added a gateway, a free mobile device app, connectivity to Google and Amazon, to make this really a modern ecosystem. This technology helps shorten your build cycle by 1.5 construction days. It will conserve 35% of the building wire during and after construction, and the lifetime of the structure, and it will deliver all homes smart. However, no matter how cool any technology is, there's one factor that supersedes all the other challenges, and that is cost. The smart home's relationship with cost has been somewhat of a quandary. On one hand, the number one motivator for smart homes is the money that can be saved by using smart home technology for the consumer. On the other hand, the upfront costs of smart homes is the number one inhibitor for the technology. And this is across the board. You, the home builder, your trades, your customers, they all care about cost. To this end, we made Levin the lowest cost way to provide smart home controls to new homes. And that includes traditionally wired switches. We'd like to invite you to booth number 201, it's right across from the front entrance, to see this technology in person and discuss the exclusive gains for your business. You can scan this QR code or speak to one of the other representatives here from Levin wearing one of these golf shirts and learn more. Now, I've got a few more minutes, so let's discuss those results that I talked about earlier. Making Levin Homes the lowest cost way to provide smart controls in new homes provides your customers with increased customization, no added cost features, increased monthly energy savings, home pricing that qualifies more buyers, and reduces out-of-pocket expenses. And for you, the builder, it reduces build cycle days, reduces your carrying costs, allows you to complete more homes, increase profit, and reduce materials and waste. Now, I acknowledge that these are big claims, and they need proof. We understand that there's real people involved, and we have to get them on board and get their buy-in. Hence, we've come up with a 4-home comparison for you and the builder. And the process is really simple. You, the builder, commit to 4 homes. We'll provide you the materials to go and test it. And you wire 2 homes a traditional way and 2 homes with Levin controls, and we compare the costs so you can see that we can meet that. So take a moment, come on over and see us at booth 201. We look forward to talking to you and sharing our experience. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, James and Levin. Good afternoon or good evening. I'm John Galante, president of AE Ventures, and before we get started with Tim Costello and our keynote panel, I'd like to take a couple of minutes for remarks on the 20th anniversary of TecHome Builder. It was 2001, the apex of the dot-com bubble, when TecHome Builder was launched as a tabloid-sized print publication and companion to the TecHome Expo show within a show at IBS. Most of the exhibits at the 2001 event were solution providers for builders and e-commerce players who were allegedly going to dismantle or disintermediate home building's Byzantine supply chains. About a year later, most of them, along with thousands of other business plan on a napkin.com companies, ceased to exist. So there we were with another tech flameout for builders who were still stinging from the home tech bust called Smart House. Then came the great housing recession of 2007 through 2013. Yikes. But somehow, in the middle of that recession, the worm began to turn on tech. I attribute much of it to the magic of the recurring revenue business model pioneered by security industry 8,000-pound gorilla, ADT. When they figured out how to make more recurring with their smart home security pulse system, and the big cable and phone companies followed, hundreds of millions of dollars in consumer advertising poured into the market, and the home buyers started asking for smarts and connectivity. That is the sea change that launched us toward where we are today, where home buyers have tech near the top of their wish lists, and most builders understand they need an ever-evolving tech strategy. That's why you're here in Seattle, right? At TecHome Builder Louisville this August, our first class of Arc of Achievement Award winners were recognized, including ADT, AlphaVision, BDX, BH Management, Brown Newtone, Compo Builders, Hardwick General Contracting, KB Home, Legrand, Moore, Peak Performance and Leadership, Nortec, Northstar, Luxury Homes, Savant, Shea, Toll Brothers, and UDR. These are just some of the industry-leading companies that embraced the challenge, partnered with TecHome Builder, and did the hard work required to get home and builder tech off the ground. And I'll add a thank you to our AE Ventures staff, and particularly my partner, also for 20 years, Nancy Franco, for their hard work on TecHome Builder, the brand and TecHome Builder events. We're grateful to the tech vendors and the builder and multifamily company readers and guests of TecHome Builder for engaging with us through 2 decades of twists and turns on tech and home building. TecHome Builder has been honored to be your travel companion on the journey so far, and we look forward to the twists, turns, and surprises of the next 20 years. And now, welcome to the stage, Tim Costello and the keynote panel.
Oh, I am joined by an illustrious group today with Jacob Atala there coming in second on the stage from KB Home. And Jacob, I've been very lucky. I've known you for a very long time before you even had this title, but today is really in charge of innovation at KB Home, sustainability, innovation, so he's a perfect person for this panel. And I'm lucky enough to have met two new industry leaders in putting this panel together, Brad Levitt and Cole Young from ATF Builders, Custom Building, and also Empire Communities. So together we're going to talk about technology. And I'm going to tee it up for a moment to explain why I think this is such a critical topic for home building today. I have been a student of technology for my entire career. And this chart has been used over and over and over again for almost 70 years now to talk about the exponential growth in technologies and how those technologies are being applied to our everyday products and changing our lives in meaningful ways. And for somebody as old as me, I can now account for some of those changes along the way. And we're going to do a little poll here. For example, I remember when 8-track tapes came out. Okay, now somebody giggled because they know what this is. This table of young guys down here is going, what the hell is this guy talking about? Now that's good or bad, because you're either thinking, I am so cool, I know about technology shit you have never even heard of, or you're going, that shit is so old, I don't even need to be here. But, you know, along the path, right, there have been a myriad of technologies. How many of you remember the Motorola flip phone? Like, killer. You used to carry a brick around, right? And this little thing, you'd flip it, it was fantastic. It was amazing. And we got a test here. So I want all of you to raise up your left hand as far as you can. Get your shirt down so everybody can see your left hand, okay? Okay, this is a test for builders. I'm counting how many of you can't figure out, what the hell, which one is that? All right, so everybody here that's over 50, what's missing on everybody's left hand? A watch, a real one, not one of those electronic digamamoogies that's connected to your phone when your battery's dying and you can't do anything and you don't have the charger for it, so you can't tell what time it is and can't get back to your flight. I'm talking about a Timex, baby. It ticks and it keeps going. So all along the time, we have these technologies and they keep coming and they come in waves and it's relentless. Look at that chart. At no point in the last 70 years did we go, hey man, let's take a time out. Let's just chill on technology and coast for a while and we'll kind of adopt and we'll be okay and we'll be able to catch up. It is a relentless master. It just keeps getting progressively steeper every single day. So that's why it's so important. I told you I've been a student of this for a long time, and I started my career, I was incredibly lucky as a young engineer. I started my career in a town in upstate New York called Rochester, New York. And for those of you who don't know, Rochester, New York was the home of Eastman Kodak. And I was actually there, and I was able to study the complete downfall of Eastman Kodak. It was kind of thrilling and depressing all at the same time. To give you perspective, Eastman Kodak had 57,000 employees in Rochester, New York alone. 57,000 employees in one town. There are no employees for Eastman Kodak in Rochester today. And the funny thing about that is Eastman Kodak, you can say, well, you know, they were just Neanderthals. They didn't get it. They didn't get digital photography, right? They're just stupid, right? No. Who invented the digital photosensor? Kodak. Who took the first photograph from outer space digitally? Kodak. They didn't not see the technology. They invented the technology. In fact, what's so profound when you start to study their inability to master this change in technology was they hired somebody from MIT to come on the board, hired them to come on and study digital technology and to determine when the inflection point would happen where digital technology would overtake conventional photography. So they were very aware. They were attuned to the fact this was going to happen. They made investments in people to figure out that date. And the study was incredibly accurate. The study concluded that there was a pixel resolution of a photograph, a digital photograph, that once that pixel resolution was achieved, the convenience of having a camera that you could put in your pocket and didn't need film and you could see pictures instantly, that convenience would have overtaken the photorealistic, right, nature of film photography. And they even then plotted when would that happen, because they understood they had developed the chip. They plotted when that would happen, and they picked the date, and that date was accurate to within 6 months. But it did not save them from the relentless push of technology. They were unable to cope, And you can study other models like Blockbuster and Redbox and Netflix, and how Blockbuster owned the industry and yet lost the entire franchise, and Nokia and Apple and General Motors and Ford against Tesla and HP and Dell, Walmart versus Amazon. You have to become a student of this to understand it's not enough to even realize that the technology exists. It's not enough to realize that technology is going to affect us. You have to figure out how to harness the power of that technology in your own business. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I've been doing this for a long time. I'm actually responsible for launching the first electric car in the United States. I was the advanced planning manager and technology planning manager for General Motors. In the 1990s, we produced the first mass-produced electric car, and it was an incredible undertaking of technology, synergy between Hughes Aircraft and General Motors, and it changed the industry. Now, I am not the person that's responsible for who killed the electric car. That's a different person, okay? But we have to kind of take those lessons of how you do big things and make big changes, and we have to think about how we're going to do that in the home building industry. Now, what makes today different in a point of inflection is the fact that our relationship with brands and expectations of frictionless commerce are reshaping the entire landscape of how people relate with brands. I don't care if it's Uber or Netflix or Amazon or Lyft or Airbnb or Stitch Fix or Blue Apron. You can go down the line. You can think in your own life, how many things do you do today that are completely digital experiences that a few years ago was a completely physical experience? Right? We buy shoes by taking pictures and matching. We buy cars out of vending machines, right? They get delivered to our front door, right? Complete change. Tesla decided not to have dealerships, and now the entire auto industry is deciding to close dealerships and go to a complete online experience. And it's not one technology that they're harnessing a collective hive of technologies. Uber wasn't a thing. Uber is a driver network and data science and AI routing and optimization, and it's a convenient, great app, and it's UGC content and ratings and reviews. They harnessed all of those things together. So the question for you as a builder, you got this list, you got a pad of paper in front of you. What's on your dance sheet? What's on your dance card? What technologies are you going to harness? Not one technology, what 10 technologies are you going to harness over the course of the next 3 years that's going to take your company and differentiate it in the market so that the builder next to you won't be able to effectively compete with you? And that will allow you to either sell more products or it will allow you to sell products at a higher margin than your neighbor. And that is successful implementation of technology. Now, the reason we are here today to talk about that is how technology permeates industries. It comes across in waves. And in this case, digital technology first looked at low-cost, high-frequency transactions. Those are the things that went digital first. Because the risk of screwing up, the risk of having a bad experience is what? So what? I bought a $12 thing on Amazon. It didn't quite work. I took a Lyft someplace, and I'm not going to do it again. It was $12, $13, $15, $20. Who cares? But you wouldn't start with a home. You wouldn't start going, wow, I've never bought anything digitally in my life. I've never experienced this, but I think I'm going to click on this button and deposit $500,000 in this bank account in Nigeria because they say they're going to build a home for me. That's not going to happen. So what happens is, as consumers get confident with high-frequency, low-cost transactions, they start to move up the food chain. They then say, you know what, I think I'll actually get a vacation home that way, and I'll do Airbnb or VBRO or something like that. And you go, wow, that was $120 a night, $300 a night. Not bad. You know what? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a car. And pretty soon, if you're buying cars online and some builder has a buy now button on their site, guess what? Your finger's getting itchy. Buy now? House? Yeah, I think I'll do that. And last December, 63% of all homes in the United States were bought before anybody ever visited the property. You better write that down. 63% of all homes in the United States in December of 2020 were bought before anybody showed up to the property. So when your salespeople go, well, you have to have a physical sales center, and you have to have a design center, and you have to have a model home, and you have to have this, and you have to have that, we've got to rethink. 63% of homes were bought before anybody ever saw them, December 2020. So the wave that we're now seeing is, since we've conquered small items and we've conquered mid-size items and we've conquered automobiles, the next wave is housing. And we have billions of dollars now focused on our industry. Literally billions of dollars in private equity and investment capital, all looking at the housing industry, pouring money in now to try to help us digitize that industry. You can see it all over the place. The Open Doors, the Occupads, the Knox, they're everywhere. How you sell your home, how you buy your home, how you finance your home, co-buyers, everything else. And builders are changing as well. Builders are starting to put buy now buttons on their site, like CBH up in Corey Barton Homes up in Idaho. And it's not just about the technology, it's also about the people. Our buyers today are buyers like this that dream about a different future and have a different value system of what a home even means to them. And the whole concept of home ownership, of whether that's really a dream or a nightmare, comes into question, because these aren't people that were born and raised in the 1950s. This is a Gen Z generation and a millennial generation that has a whole completely different set of values about purchase and ownership, and we need to speak their language. So I have this basic rubric that I use in technology, and it's a question of when it's a time to act. Because technology is constantly changing, and you can always say, well, you know what, I want to see it a little bit more clearly before I make the leap, right? I want a little bit more information before I do that home automation thing. The time to act is when the risk of doing nothing outweighs the risk of doing something. And that time has come for our industry. The time today is that you had better be disrupting, or you will become disrupted. And it is better to be the driver than the driven. So that is why we have this illustrious panel here today. The topic is complex. There are a lot of technologies out there. This is not a prescriptive list of every technology that is going to affect housing, but it's a long list of technologies that certainly could have a significant effect on our industry. But remember one thing, it's not about the technology, it's about improving your business and better business results. So what we're going to focus on today are things like, how do you build with less capital? How do you build with fewer people? How do you keep your labor working past their 20s into their 30s, into their 40s, into their 50s, and they're still roofing? How do we have fewer mistakes in the homes that we build, right, so that our holdbacks are lower, right? These are the things that will drive business results. The objectives are not technology. The objectives are better business results. And technology is what's going to unlock that for us. So we're going to go through a top 10 considerations, and my illustrious panel here is going to give us some ideas and some feedback on these 10 issues. And the very first one that I'm going to bring up on my top 10 is capital light building. Who out there would like to build a development with less upfront capital? Yeah, if you don't raise your hand, let me explain the home building industry to you, okay? This thing will eat you up, spit you out, and you'll end up bankrupt, but you will have built 50 homes. That's the good news. Capital light building is where it is at. And the question is, can technology and innovation help us build homes with less capital?
Well, Tim, time is money.
Yes, it is.
So cycle times. How many of us want to always reduce our cycle time, turn our money quicker? And that's what, building with manufactured housing or off-site construction, that's what we're doing.
So you have firsthand experience. I know in 2020, I believe it was, at the International Builder Show, KB had the American Home of the Future.
2019.
Oh, 2019, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, COVID year, gone.
Yeah.
2019, right? And Integra, you partnered with Integra at that time
Yes.
to completely build a home off-site from a modular
Yes.
perspective and bring it on-site. How much cycle time was reduced in that process?
Tremendous amount, about 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
And your traditional cycle time for a build is?
In that market, it can range.
Not today, because we know it's
Yeah.
3 years
Yeah.
today. But I mean, when you could get appliances, for example, the old market, right?
60 to 75 days.
75 days. So 3 weeks is 21 days. You took 21 days out of a 75-day
Right,
build. That is a profound impact on capital.
Amazing. It took us more time to engineer it, work with them to make sure there is nothing left for field measurement. There is no field measurement. Right. You gotta figure it out. But with repetition, you take that investment and you move it to hundreds of homes.
So in advanced manufacturing, there's a basic rule. There's craft production and manufactured products. And that doesn't mean there's good and bad or better or worse. It's just two different kind of production systems. Craft production system, every step of the production process, you adjust for the mistakes you made in the first step. Right. Think about home building. How many of our foundations are flat or square? So what do we do with the frame? We adjust to the foundation. So the kitchen's actually a ½ inch longer or 2 inches longer, and by the way, it's not a 90-degree angle, it's an 87-degree angle in that corner of the house. So then what does the cabinet maker do? He shims and he adjusts, right? Every step of the process becomes accommodation for the errors before. When you build a machine, when you build a car, you don't accommodate for errors. There is no accommodation. Nobody along the way bends, tweaks, twists, reworks anything in the process. Every part, 10,000 parts, have to fit together in any amount of variation that is possible in that production process every single time, every single day, hundreds of millions of cars every other year. What do you think? Capital light construction.
Well, I'll jump on it from a custom side. I mean, it's different. What's tough about the luxury market if you're doing custom homes is you start thinking about, well, the old traditional method is people would hire an architect or a designer. They design their home. They go send it out to 3 contractors. And it's really an antiquated method. It doesn't work. It's not successful. And when you look at very successful large commercial scale companies, as they're building, it's what's called pool plan as they're going through the schedule, right? And so the pool plan methodology, if you're going vertical, it's sequencing. How do you schedule? Manpower, deliveries, safety, everything that goes into that build. But if you take it a step further, so if the builder's involved from the beginning with the architect and design team, and now you're involved in the subcontractor base that's working on design. So for example, whether it be the framer, the steel company, structural steel on these very complicated builds, they know what materials readily available. They know the manpower or the crew size they may have. So if they're involved in the design, even at that little level, then now you can sequence and build quicker. And on a luxury build, that's super key, especially when you think about capital, because now as the builder you're in from the very beginning, it's negotiated work, so there's deposits being made, so it helps facilitate the entire process.
You can skip. You don't have to say a thing. We can wait. You can hold all of your dry powder for another question.
No, I think cycle time is an interesting thing, and we always talk about the material side of things, but we don't talk about the labor. Right. And we haven't done a very good job of streamlining labor within home building and construction. Yep. You know, if you think about the white collar industries, LinkedIn, it's cleaned up finding a job. Yep. But we need to get folks excited about construction and building and so on and so forth. How does technology play into that? Well, LinkedIn does not do a very good job of catering to those folks. There's a few companies out there today that are trying to reignite the fire within folks to say, hey, let's go to trade school. Let's go get on the job training. I think if you can inject more folks into the labor force, in turn bring in more subs, that's going to reduce your cycle times as well.
So let me,
there's 2 sides to that coin.
Let me bring up another topic. Capital investment in communities. Model homes, sales centers, design centers. Tesla doesn't have a sales center at all. They go into a mall and they buy rental mall space, and that's all they have. So why are we building $800,000 homes, spending another $400,000 on furnishing, design? We build 2 or 3 per community. We have a design center. We've got a sales center.
It used to be you gotta show it to sell it, but it's now with the digitization of our business, you can build models virtually and sell them that way. You don't have to have all 5 plans offered on site. So that reduces capital cost. It ties less money.
So let's introduce a new topic to the industry. It's called digital twin. This is a strategy to use technology to disrupt your industry. And what it talks about is building a digital model of your product, in our case, homes. And what you can then do with that is create virtual walkthroughs, for example, so you don't have to build models. It allows you to do automatic AI-driven takeoffs. right? So that you can optimize materials. It can even help you with scheduling and build and pre-simulation of builds so that you understand every step along the process, right? It can, in the custom world, right, because you're building a one-off product, it can avoid all of your site-found construction defects and irregularities.
Modeling.
And modeling, right? So, and BIM modeling is a kind of a part of that, but digital twin is a bigger strategy even than BIM modeling. Think of BIM modeling as being a tool within the construct of digital twins. So ask yourself on that little pad there, is digital twins in your future and what can you do about it? Before we go to the next one, I'm going to add one more. I have to do it because I've come from Austin, Texas. Icon, 3D printed cement homes, 24 hours. They're custom homes, simple, home, any kind of structure. They build them in 24 hours, at least the entire single floor layout of the homes. What do you think? 3D printed structures. Anything in the future or?
Yeah, it's happening. I mean, we have our first one in Phoenix, so it's happening already, so.
All right, you heard this first. Do we right here on stage? I like that.
I mean, I'm not building it. I'll say my architect
okay.
is. So,
okay.
but my architect is, and he's doing the first one in Phoenix, and it's happening. I mean, it's another method around, just looking at supply chain and manpower and everything else.
I don't know if you remember, but we bought the founder of Icon Homes to the DCX conference 4 years ago when he had just invented the technology and was printing it to talk about, and builders were sitting and going, 3D printed homes, who the hell would do that? Now there's communities for sale, in several markets across the United States. It's kind of interesting. All right, let's move on. How about human resource light management? This is a hot topic in the industry, right? It's hard to hire people today. The people that we hire don't have the experience or the longevity in this space. What can technology do to help us?
BIM construction, you talked about it already. BIM really helps in all the conflict creation, so that conflict resolution beforehand. So we don't need as many people. We don't need as many skilled people on site. At least we are able to get in the younger generation in and be able to, at a lower cost, use that human capital.
And it seems like your off-site manufacturing, which you talked about before,
Yes,
has
of
an
course.
opportunity. I did a case study on an unnamed manufacturer housing company. They had 120 employees, and they were building 27 homes a day. And you start to do the math of that, start to finish, frame, roof, drywall, cabinets, lighting, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, I mean, everything with 120 employees a day building 27 homes. So you can start to do the math of how many people per home is that, how many people per square foot is probably a better way to kind of calculate it. But it was phenomenal. It was over an order of magnitude more efficient than any of our site building construction.
And also go back to model home sites or sales centers.
Yep.
Less agents are needed there. If you are doing online appointments, you're unlocking the door for them, having them tour the model home or virtually through Matterport. That's there are savings.
So, according to our statistics, the industry needs to open 6,000 communities in the next 12 months because we've oversold and we've reduced. Sure. KB Home's great example. Empire probably as well. You probably have fewer active communities today than you did a year ago, right? Just because too much demand, can't get the land entitled and and move forward. So we have 6,000 communities, and you start thinking, how many people is that we have to hire? Mm-hmm. So how do we deal with that? And we've already seen builders now begin to centralize sales operations within markets. So instead of having sales operations at every community, which is the standard model, one sales operation for an entire metro market with remote lock capability. So you're calling somebody or you're online and you get remote lock capability to tour yourself through homes, even though there's no sales center and no sales personnel in those communities. The number one fear, of course, is what? Oh my God, they won't buy the home if they go through it themselves. We did a study with the top 10 builder, remote toured versus hosted tours, and it had the same conversion rate to sale. Whether it was an assisted tour with a salesperson or the people toured their home themselves, had the same close rate. And it's because people are so far down the process today, when they finally come out to see a home, they don't need anybody to sell them the home. They just need to see it.
Yeah, and Tim, I want to say also things like Envision, part of your company's work. It helps us with less number of
people,
studio consultants,
yep.
That sort of thing. But I also want to say this. The people that did this online tool reservation and then go in and be able to interact with an Alexa and things like that. I met them here 3 years ago. I met them at the summit 3 years ago. This is why you all should be here and why we're talking about these things.
What do you think? Strategies for?
Well, you look at, I mean, outside of the U.S., right? I mean, it's going back to your example about engineering. You don't go to Costco and buy a TV and then have the parts delivered to your front yard to put it together. Like, it just doesn't happen. And yet,
Sounds like a good business model.
Yeah. And we're still in this business where, the lumber package is dropped and it takes our framers and crews, 12 weeks to build or longer. And outside the U.S., that's not happening. I mean, it goes back to the planning stage. Yep. Everything is built in the plant, that panelization. And most of us think of that, hey, that'll only work if you're doing 2,000 square foot house, that's cookie cutter, but that's not the case. I mean, you can do a 20,000 square foot castle, right? In England, it's all built in the shop. They know all the pieces. When it comes out, you don't have 6 40-gallon dumpsters. You have a 5-gallon bucket. That's it for the waste. And so part of that's the manufacturer side, and we, as an economy, we have to get there, but we have to demand that too from the building side.
I spent my early years in working at General Motors, and they had a partnership with Toyota, and I got to go to Japan, and I studied Toyota. And one of Toyota's business units is a home builder. So I got to go actually visit Toyota Home Building. They don't have community sales. All their sales are in malls. They have like a Tesla deal. They have a mall sales center, and they show all your plans. They're all in a mall. You pick the plan. You pick where you want your home built. The entire cycle time is 15 days from the time you put the order in the mall to the time you move into your house. And the build cycle on lot is 3 days. It is just phenomenal. And the homes today look just like the homes that we would kind of build naturally anywhere else. They'd fit into any U.S. community. But entire cradle grave, 15 days, 3 days on site. All right, so 2 crazy ideas for human resource management out into the future, which is a little bit different, is extending the life of the human resources we have. I think we have a huge problem in our industry today where we wear people out. Construction is what's considered a young person's industry. You roof for 10 years and then you collect unemployment insurance and for the rest of your life because you're just worn out. I think wearables, wearable technology, and exoskeletons, and management of human endurance and human capacity on site and how we have to care for our workers is going to fundamentally be changed in the future with technology. Today we hire trades, we don't care how the workers sometimes are treated, we don't care whether it's 120 degrees and they haven't had any water, we have no ideas if they're about to have a heat stroke. That's going to change with wearables. We're going to have 24/7 monitoring on our assets, and we're going to have exoskeleton capabilities to take the stress out of the job and to be able to manage that to a minimum amount of duration.
I think you also got Teams and Zoom. Back office, tough to get quality folks. Today, you don't need to hire them in the market. If you're trying to hire people in Austin today,
don't hire them in Austin today. Just don't do that.
Exactly. You may not get the A+ player, but if you go to somewhere in the middle of nowhere where there is somebody that's there and they can do the job of 2 people that you would get in Austin. So.
And have you already been successful at that, starting to kind of decentralize those kinds of operations and using digital technology?
Yeah, so in our division, almost every one of us is remote today.
Awesome. Congratulations. All right, number 3, lower cost of customer acquisition. We all need customers. What do we do? How can technology play a role there?
Well, this goes back, you talked about this earlier, brand awareness, right? As you think about the emotional journey that people have, well, what are other people doing in other industries to create that emotional journey? And so you can leverage social media, whether it be LinkedIn, right? It's a wide open platform, you can grow organically. LinkedIn, TikTok, which you can grow organically, but even Instagram, some of these traditional social media platforms, this is where you can actually build an emotional journey with your client, bring in lower costs. There's no cost of acquisition, essentially. Negotiated work, you're not bidding against other contractors, and then you're controlling that design process.
Well, and I think especially for custom builders, it's such an emotional experience of delivery. And that point of delivery is such a great time to get a viral network distribution. In other words, use your customers to create their networks to get your next customer. After all, somebody that can afford a $20 million home, their network of friends is probably the target market of other people that can afford $20 million homes, and it kind of goes with that. So,
and you build off it.
And you build off of it. And I think we miss that opportunity sometimes to kind of really capitalize on the new social networks of our buyers, and really capitalize. Jacob, anybody cool?
I think capturing folks earlier in the cycle. So if I'm going to be a home buyer in 5 years, how do you capture me before that? Is it the TikTok? Is it Instagram, or is there a different avenue?
Yep.
It's not my expertise, so I'm just gonna
You're gonna-
leave
you're
it
gonna keep
alone.
your dry powder?
Except I keep
All right.
hearing from our team the word funnel.
No
and
problem.
That's an important.
All right, let's switch to number 4, lower cost of sales. So this is predominantly the issue is, look, the elephant in the room with home building is we have about a 70% attachment rate of realtors with our sales in the home building industry. The average commission in our industry is about 2.5%. I realize it's falling recently as builders gotten a little bit more aggressive, but traditionally over the past 5 years. You take a $375 billion industry and you put a 2.5% tax on it, and you're talking about a whole lot of money, right? $7 to $10 billion a year in real estate commissions. On top of that, then we have internal commissions to our salespeople. So there's almost 5% sitting there between the in-house and the outside attachment rates. What could technology do to reduce our cost of sales?
I think there's a trust factor there if you're going to buy a house and you don't have a realtor.
Yep.
A lot of times you end up going to find one just because you're not trusting of the other person across the table from you.
Exactly.
You want to know you're getting the best deal. So how do the home builders create that trust factor up front such that, and maybe it's not a home builder, maybe there's an intermediary that comes in and says, and streamlines, mortgage, title, et cetera, that creates that trust. How do you know you're getting the best deal?
So that falls into, we did a longitudinal study for the industry for consumers where we followed new home buyers through the entire process, right? So they had to videotape themselves every day and blog every day about, okay, so where am I? Did I move forward? Did I move back? And am I upset? Am I happy? Blah, 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 blah. Who are they looking at? What were the decisions they made? With all of that, we found there were 19 friction points in the process, general friction points. Trust, right, was one of those huge friction points. They'd get to a point where they just didn't know who to trust. Sometimes they got different messages and different answers from the same builder about an issue, and it starts to erode trust, and they just didn't know where to go. And that is when they would bring in a realtor. Realtors used to be brought in at the very beginning of the home buying journey for consumers. Why? You got to be old. You guys are too young. You don't even remember.
That's how they get their commission, right? I mean, they had to be there at the first, I don't know.
You had to get the book. There used to be a book. Yeah. Crazy as it sounds, every month the MLS would print a book on onion skin paper with all 4,000 homes. It was literally in about an 1.5 inch square space. They had a picture and a bunch of 1-point font, right, details about the home. And these books were only owned by agents, and the only way you knew what homes were sold in a market is you got to go to an agent, and the agent would say, I can't give you the book, but I'm going to. And they would give it to you, and you take it home, and you dog-ear it, and you underline things, and you say, I want to go see all these homes. That's how the process used to start. But what's happened over time is you don't need that anymore. You want to see what homes are for sale, you jump online. You don't need a freaking agent to do that. In fact, an agent will get in your way. So what we find now is consumers are way deep in the process of picking somebody. They bring an agent in when there's friction. The problem is when they bring an agent into a new home process and there's friction, guess what? They're 3 times more likely to now buy a used home instead of a new home. 40% of people that bring an agent into the process never see a new home again because they bring the agent in the process. Oh, you don't want to buy one of those Empire homes. I have the most perfect used home for you right over here. It's such a better deal. You got to come over here and see these things. They never see a new home again. So friction, this problem that we create, friction, and trust is a huge friction point, but there's other ones as well. We've got to deal with friction. One of the things you can do with friction, the most trusted source online for trust is what? Ratings and reviews. Tell me you don't use them. Tell me you don't look at ratings and reviews of restaurants, movies, products, everything that you do, you go look at ratings and reviews. You got ratings and reviews. You have 4.4 stars out of 5. You're one of the highest ranked builders in the country. And it matters because now when they're there, they see thousands of people that have bought your home. Thousands of them. And they see, oh, there's a great experience. I love my home. Great value, blah, 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 blah. So you get trust. So one of the things we need to do in our industry is please, there is a free program for the industry, sponsored by the industry for ratings and reviews. Use it so that they can learn to trust you. Because even KB Home's brand is not a strong enough brand to overcome the fact that there's not user-generated content. You have to deal with user-generated content to overcome trust. So use the program. Anything else on lowering cost of sales?
Well, just to that point, I mean, to make it easy for any company that's out there, they can register their business on Google Maps. You can go in, you're registered, you control Google Maps. That's where the consumers can review you. Google tracks all that stuff. They push it on all their online search databases. I mean, you could be a key point in the search database too on Google Maps.
The only problem about Google Maps, because we did this study for the industry, Google reviews, your ex-employees can also review you.
They can.
So can he.
They can. Anyone can, and then it's hard to fight.
And
yeah.
that's the problem.
That's anything online too.
No. So the issue with Trust Builder, it's only people that bought your home.
On Trust Builder.
So it is a true review of the process of actually buying a home and owning a home. So critical factor for us as an industry is just get ratings and reviews on this site. Get the reputation that you deserve. Home builders, people love our homes. They love what we do. We deserve that reputation, and all the other stuff that's out there on Better Business Bureau and everything else is the 1% of the case, and we got to kind of kill that. All right, let's get to improved margins. This is what everybody's interested in. Cole, look, he's looking at it going, hey, I want to know about that. What about this to improve margins? How about direct material cost reduction? Huge problem today, I realize, but in the future, what could we do to lower the cost of direct materials, lower the cost of capital? Yeah. Today, you can get all kind of microfinancing and crowdsource financing out there. Can builders begin to tap in completely different financial sources potentially to fund communities and fund development?
Well, one thing I would say, Tim, about that is we can increase our margins by reducing our costs. So, for example, waste reduction. I'm coming at it from my lens of sustainability, VP of sustainability. Reduce waste, okay? Don't buy waste, and then spend money also solving where to put it. The second thing is build quality from the get-go, so you don't have to spend money on customer service and warranty items and so on. These two things will improve your margin, and we believe in it.
Yeah, we're working on an AI LiDAR tool that uses an iPhone 13. So it allows the builder to simply walk through the home and take a picture of each room. And then using the LiDAR in the iPhone 13, it matches it back to the BIM modeling, to the actual architectural model, to know that every single structural element is exactly per design. Because you think about it, how many problems we have because somebody put 3 studs in a corner and now we have a cold spot and now there's mold and now there's moisture and now blah, 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 blah. And we are expecting to remember to find all that. But today you can use a simple device that's in the palm of your pocket, automatically check it against the actual, architectural drawings to make sure, and now you have a record for insurance and all future liability. It says we built the home to plan because you have a scan of it. There's another opportunity of how technology could kind of help us eliminate some of those kind of higher dollar issues.
Yep, I love that.
So I have a different take on the margins. I think for a builder to really achieve margin compression, a lot of times it's through bulk purchasing, and so that's easy for the top 20 guys to go out and do that. I think where technology really helps is efficiencies, and those efficiencies ultimately leading to turn times within, for your homes. And so if you're able to turn your homes faster, well, maybe you'll take a lower margin, which is against the improved margin. But if you're turning your house 3 times a year versus 1.5, well, why do you need a 10 if you got an 8, but you just turn your capital 3 times versus 1.5?
So you're really looking at total profitability over the course of a year.
Correct, because as a mid-size or small private builder, you're gonna be hard pressed to compete with a big public who can buy at scale. So you either need to find a purchasing group that's gonna allow you to do that, which again is not going to be easy, or you need to figure out how to build faster and more efficient. So take a lower margin and make more money.
What do you think about the opportunity of Amazon getting into direct supply of building materials? Look at him. Oh, I hope so, he says. Direct material, drone delivery right to your site. I promise it's going to happen. All right, let's move on. Homes worth a premium. Now, this is a topic near and dear to my heart. New homes across the entire U.S. have about an average about a 20% price premium on a per square foot basis, and they have always run that way. Now, market to market, it varies. Some markets only 10%, some markets it's 40% premium. But across the United States, there's about a 20% premium on a per square foot basis of new homes versus used homes. And that's because it's a new home. Better design, new materials, warranty, right? You're buying a used home, your roof is already 20 years old, right? You're gonna have to replace it. So always has made sense. During the pandemic, that price premium has completely eroded, and there is no price premium in the market at all. In fact, many markets in the United States, new homes are actually less per square foot than used homes. So how do we end up using technology to build homes that are worth a premium and building our premium back to our 20-25% premium over used homes?
I'll start by, again, putting on my lens of sustainability. Sustainability is a premium, and you don't find that in an older home. So when we differentiate through sustainability, highly energy efficient, water efficient, smart, healthy home, then we are creating that premium. The other one is personalization, business model of KB Home, which is I'm not the 7-Eleven of coffee, I'm the Starbucks of coffee. And you're gonna pay more for that Starbucks coffee. You can create a higher margin that way. But of course, you can look at it more also from the cost, as you talked about earlier. You can attack it from both directions.
I mean, I agree with that. I mean, when you look at the air filtration, water filtration, low VOC, right? I mean, this is what customers are asking for. I mean, we're doing a net zero home right now in Phoenix. Crestron spoke earlier. I mean, they're partnering with us on this project. And so you look at that for the client, and this is what they want. They're speaking, they want that, whether the government's going to force us to do that at some point, like in some parts of the country, or we do that now. I mean, customers are asking for it. They're watching, they're seeing the content, they're demanding that. And even little things, I mean, we do high-end custom homes, but even on the small side, you have options out there at the front door. You could have different size mailboxes that go to your garage. Packaging, Amazon comes in. I mean, these are little ads, for someone, whether you're a production builder or high-end custom, that customers want. They're out working, and it's...
I think you're touching on a subject of what we've got to do is figure out how do we build homes that you can't buy used. I mean, that's what you're saying. Hey, net zero home with an Amazon drop delivery and air filtration, blah, 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 blah. Try to find one of those in the MLS, right? Yeah. They don't exist. And I think if you stretch that and you start to think, if you're sitting out there planning not just for this year, next year, but you're thinking maybe several years down, how do we eventually get to the point where we have homes that heal, that the home doesn't have a purpose just to house us, but the home actually cares for us. And I saw this incredible presentation at the Consumer Electronics Show last year by Sekisui. And it was their Japanese branch that had come to present. And Sekisui in Japan integrates sensors into the home that monitor the occupants, and they can detect stroke. And they actually call the authorities. And the reason they're interested in this is Japan is a super aging society, so they have lots of old people living at home alone. And the challenge with stroke, if you're at home alone, you have a stroke, you have this golden window of about 2 hours. If you get treatment within that window, it's curable and you have no long-term impacts. If it's not, then you're an invalid or you pass away. So they were focused on this, and the Sekisui now has a healing home ecosystem that actually monitors the behavior of the occupant and can determine with 90% accuracy whether or not they've had a stroke, and will call 911, the equivalent of 911, right, in Japan, and have people come to your home and take care. And you start thinking about that, Jacob. I know you and your home had all kinds of air monitoring capabilities and healthy home monitoring air quality. Again, those are things you can't buy really in a used home.
So Steve Jobs, like you're saying, you create what the customer wants and they'll come get it. Create what the customer wants, but you create.
Yeah, you skate to where the puck's going to be, right? Not where the puck is. All right, let's keep moving here because John's going to get mad at me. So we're going to start with smarter decision making. This will totally change gears here. Can we buy land better, know what land to buy, pay the right price for it? Can we price our homes better? Can we forecast our volume better so that we understand what the economics of a community are going to be? And can we optimize plans and options?
I think it all comes through data.
Yep.
There's no other way to put it. How do you know where to buy the land if you don't know who's going where? And not just who's going where, but what are their decision-making processes? Do they want to buy? Do they want to rent? If they want to buy, what do they want to buy? But without data, you don't know.
I mean, I see some of the most successful division presidents in the country, people that are paid way too much money, right? Right? And yet what I see they go, yeah, raise all the prices 5% next month. Every plan, every community, really. You're telling me every plan in every community is the optimum price increase is 5%? No, they have no idea what they're doing. right? Some of the plans probably need to be reduced in price. Other plans need to be, go up 25% in price, but you have to have the data. And we've got to learn how to harvest the data for demand. And that's one thing that we're working for the industry in BDX right now is how do we take all of the demand data that's occurring so that we can start to see how many people in North Phoenix are shopping for homes in this price range, in this specific footprint, et cetera. And is that demand going up and down with supply so that we can do a better job of dynamic pricing so that we really can optimize the take on each property so we don't do this kind of simplistic, hey, increase prices 5% next month, because it seems like we have too many sales, right?
It's working, right?
Yeah, it works for you. Well, what if you could increase it 10% on average every month? That would work even better for you.
The realtor's dilemma.
Any other comments, Jacob? All right.
No.
All right, we're going to move on. Frictionless commerce. This is kind of the holy grail of everything, right? So Amazon, everybody that's out there wants to do frictionless commerce. We want to be able to buy a product. I call it the litmus test for me is can you buy your product from a cell phone, right, on a beach in Hawaii? And if I can buy your product on a cell phone on a beach in Hawaii, then it's got to be a pretty low effort process for me to purchase your product. I think it's pretty hard to buy most homes today on a cell phone on a beach in Hawaii. What can we do about that? Everything from iBuying, finance, contracting, options.
Yeah, fintech and prop tech are, both of them are very important here. We're experimenting with that, but I think maybe you've done more on it. So.
Well, I think even outside that, I know one of your comments was residual income, right? How do you do that in the home building industry? Yeah. So you can take, if you're a spec builder or you have model homes, you can create, instead of using social media, but you can have your website, digital downloads. People can buy floor plans, then they can upgrade to buy the dimensional part of it. Maybe not get all the complete CDs, but portions. If they like that plumbing fixture and that cabinetry, you could give them the color, but they're paying for it, right? The cabinet stain color. So there's ways to create that, on the website.
You said a couple years back at a conference that Amazon had just started selling homes, and if you're a home builder and you got to negotiate with your local realtors, yes, that's concerning, but what if you only have to negotiate with one and it's Amazon? So I think what we should be thinking about is, yes, we want it to be frictionless, but not too frictionless. Amazon will drop ship a lot of stuff to your house. The Alexas are now coming in almost every builder's house. So the more frictionless it gets, the more you get put into the corner.
So you were actually potentially about a threat if we make it too frictionless that there could be potentially other distribution channels which could disintermediate the builder and take a disproportionate amount of the profit.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we need to, certain things need to be streamlined, certain things need to be siloed, and then we can go from there. But Amazon right now is chasing it pretty quickly.
Yep. All right, we have two more to go here. The next one is new revenue streams. So this gets to your issues, customer for life, and of course this crazy idea of what if housing becomes software as a service? What if we actually don't buy homes anymore, but we just buy the service of homes? Yeah. Crazy?
You talked about digital twin earlier. I think those who own the digital twin own the life of the home and everything that goes with it. Not just the person that lives in there today, but the person that lives tomorrow and the next and the next. And, that everybody is creating these concepts that, pull data from this area or this area or this area. But if you own a digital twin, you own everything. So I think that's the key.
John earlier mentioned ADT and how they started creating that revenue that goes on and on. Digital health is going to give us a new opportunity around that. You mentioned it earlier. So that's one. Also, you saw it in the concept home that we did in 2019, a flex home.
Yeah, the Airbnb, kind of an Airbnb yes. certified home, right, where it has dual purpose.
Right, right. And I think in terms of experiences, other experiences, we're coming up on the kind of experience of, hey, I want to live here for in the summertime, here in the wintertime, and so on. As we age, there are going to be these snowbirds beyond what they used to be, and I think we can address that. I think to some extent, your thinking around that is the right one.
All right. Very last issue we're going to end on, which is how do we deal kind of with the challenges of the new era, so to speak? We got an aging population in the United States, right? We got affordability challenges, right, facing us. We've got climate change. We've got sustainability. We got resilience issues along the coast. How do we use technology to focus on kind of a future for the next 5 years as we face all of these kind of more larger systemic societal and global issues?
You mentioned it earlier. You got to skate where the puck is. You got to know what are the trends, what do we need to focus on in the near future, and work towards it. You can't just wait for the perfect answer. You got to keep trying and evolving with it. But resilience, in my mind, resilience is going to be a big one. And I think builders are positioned really well to create homes that are more resilient. It will go back to, would be able to create the premium between us and the resale homes. And so I think that's one area I would focus on, resilience.
I think the biggest thing is for technology companies to figure out how to work with home builders. Home builders have been there forever, and they're not going anywhere. The technology companies have come and gone, first, second, third renditions of the same concept, but they don't figure out how to work with the builder to get in. So I think the technology companies need to take a step back and say, what is it that is going to incentivize the home builder for us to come in and help them out? Instead of coming in with a bull in the china shop mentality saying, hey, look, we have what you need, take it or leave it.
Yep.
Because the home builder's not going anywhere.
And it comes down to education, right? Educating from the manufacturers, educating the labor force that's out there, educating our own internal teams, and then building products that are more sustainable, right? Net zero, passive homes. It's going to be the way of the future. I mean, people are asking for that now.
All right, you've spent almost an hour with the three of the smartest people in the industry talking about technology. We gave you 10 different things to think about. Any last comments for the audience about what they should do to try to manage and harness technology for the improvement of their business?
Collaboration. Collaborate with your partners. It takes more than one hand to clap. So I think builders and industry, manufacturers, suppliers, you got to participate together. And don't limit it to there. Talk about the utilities. Earlier in an earlier session, I talked about collaborate with the utilities as well, and everybody else you can.
I would agree. It's a collaboration and open-mindedness. You know, both folks have something that's going to solve a problem. It's just a matter of, not talking past each other and talking with each other.
And in the high-end luxury world, it's planning. I think so many times when I speak with other builders in our in our demographic, they want to start the house, they want to get the client going, they don't have selections done, and it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
I mean, if you plan now, you can figure out manpower or labor, and you can figure out schedules, you can pull that in, changes your margin.
So plan.
Plan. Don't start.
All right, so please help me give me a hand for the three smartest people in housing up here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim, Jacob, Cole, and Brad. We appreciate your insights. We have one more programming element to get to before the Connections reception, which is the announcement of the 2021 TecHome Brilliance Awards. The TecHome Brilliance Awards were launched in 2016, and they recognize innovative new products and services that appeal to home buyers and improve the new home experience. This year, we had dozens of entries into the awards program. To learn more about the products, please visit techhomeawards.com, and of course, stop by the booths here during the event. As I announce the winning entries, please come up to the table to my left and grab your award, and then we're going to have all of the entrants come up on stage for a group photo. We will hold our applause until all of the winners are announced. So here we have all of the nominees. And now the winners. For high efficiency, healthy building materials, Huntsman Building Solutions Heat Flow HFO. For home automation, Crestron's Crestron Home. For home AV, Crestron Electronics again with their DM-NAX 8-zone streaming amplifier. For home networks, Primex PXU Gigabit Network Series. For home security, Quicksets Halo Touch Fingerprint Smart Lock. For HVAC, LG Electronics Vertical Air Handling Unit with LG RED. For HVAC IAQ controls, Crestron Electronics Horizon Thermostat. For indoor air quality, Panasonic Cosmos Healthy Home Systems from Panasonic. For kitchen appliances and tech, Signature Kitchen Suite 48-inch Pro Range Top with Suavi and induction. Energy monitoring and management, Savant Power. For lighting, Brilliant Smart Home Systems, Brilliant Smart Dimmer Switch. For options presentation and selections tools, HiArc. For sales, design, center automation, Interior Logic Group, Rumored. For multifamily tech, building connectivity infrastructure and services, Dish Fiber. For multifamily tech, perimeter and shared space surveillance and access control, Remote Locks, Universal Access Control. For outdoor AV and controls, Nortec Control, Proficient Protege Outdoor Speakers. And for water monitoring and management, LeakSmart, Protect by LeakSmart with Flow. And then we have one overall product winner from all of the entrants, which goes to Savant Power.